Okay, so this one had to do with equipment that we received, and I'll tell you, equipment concerns and property concerns have been, kind of top of mind of a lot of the organizations that we've been supporting uh, that receive money from the Department of Energy or Department of Transportation or any of these, heavy infrastructure projects that are going on right now. Because there's typically a lot of kind of construction involved. There's a lot of equipment being purchased. There's a question of, there's always that adage of like, well, if it's grant funded equipment, is it a gift? Like, do we get to keep it after the end of the project? And the answer to that question really is maybe. You might be able to keep it, but you have to receive disposition instructions that would ultimately result in you keeping it. And so this question of what does conditional title mean, and does this affect how recipients account for federally funded equipment? Conditional title is what you receive as the recipient when you buy federally funded equipment. So when you buy, let's say, a tractor like is shown in the little icon there, right? When you purchase that, it's going to be conditionally titled to the recipient, to you, the organization who's implementing the grant. At the end of the grant period, you're going to have to request disposition instructions that may result in you retaining that for further use on the project. It may result in the need to sell it and then give the proceeds back to the federal government equal to their federal share in that equipment. Or maybe if you want to retain it, you want to buy out the federal government's share, of that equipment. So the conditional title basically means that you're not able to just keep it outright and it's going to be yours forever. There is the condition that has to be lifted upon completion of the period of performance, where we have to request and see how this will ultimately change ownership and whether that condition will be lifted at the time of disposition. So keep that in mind. That's where the whole property management requirements really come from, is the fact that when you buy these pieces of equipment, technically the government still has, some potential claim of ownership there. Whereas you have to, inventory these items. You have to maintain detailed records of their location and use and custodian. And also you have to prevent loss, theft, damage, and destruction of these items as well. And so that's where conditional title comes in, and that's where ultimately you have an obligation until final disposition. But a great question.